Hello, hello, hello. Happy New Year to those I have not said Happy New Year to. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all. Listen, I was on my way home from the grocery store because, of course, it hit me that the things that I needed for my daughter, some of which I still can't find, I had to find some. And so as a result, I said, let me document this now so that I won't forget. Now, I will have something that will be a lot more formal. But for right now, I just wanted to put this on so I could think about this. And I want to make sure that you all see it. I will post this on my page. For those of you all who are like, who is this? I'm going to tell you who I am. I am Natasha Robinson. I am the curator and creator of Legalese Please, a platform, a community, if you will, that is designed to deconstruct, demystify, and decode legal language. And once we do that, we break it down, and in breaking it down, we build you up. So we build you up by breaking it down. So I am in charge of that. My name is Natasha Robinson. Thank you for taking a couple of moments. This is a very, very what do you call, rough draft, if you will, of Legalese Please. Usually I have something very formal in which I have, different subtitles, and then I have, things where you can click on this and look at that. I ain't got none of that today. None of that today because I wanted to make sure that I got out of the car. I didn't even put my groceries up. See, they're still right there. My coat is right there. I had to come on real quick and talk about criminal law and civil law. This is not going to be long. Criminal law and civil law. I feel like as part of me being an educator, most recently being a criminal justice professor, there are some things that I feel I am going to address as refreshers. And those refreshers are to educate us, to remind us, to inform us without any type of shame, without any type of guilt. I am not the type of person that is going to sit here and say, why didn't y'all know this? Y'all should have known this. Some things we know, some things we remember, and some things we forget. And so consider this to be your professor in a pocket, if you will, okay? Not because I'm just on your phone or on your laptops, but because I stay in the pocket. I stay and focus on what it is that we need to talk about. So there have been a number of people who have been asking me online, through email, through text, through you name it, calls. They have been asking me about different legal services, what I provide and what I do not. Okay. And so, what I'm going to do is just give a very brief synopsis. Remember, I told you I am going to have something more official later, but I wanted to jump on the Book of Faces and talk to you about these refreshers that we need to have. All right. One of the refreshers, and for some it is a refresher, for others is an introduction, is as it relates to law. What type of legal issues you believe that you have, and what type of issues involve the law. Okay. What type of legal issues you think you have, and what issues would actually involve the law. So when you are trying to think about the type of legal issues you may have or the type of discussions that involve law, there are two huge groups of law, okay? If you're taking notes, pay attention, okay? If you have the type of mind where you're like, okay, I can hear it and then I can share it, which, by the way, if you haven't shared this already, share it with people, because I promise you what I'm going to say affects all of us, okay? It affects all of us, and it's free. You have two huge groups of law. You have criminal law and you have civil law. All right. You have criminal law and you have civil law. Criminal law is the area of law where someone could be facing some type of punishment or a restriction on their liberty, on their ability to move around, on their ability to engage in some type of activity. All right. That's criminal law. So, for example, if someone is trespassing, if they are where they're not supposed to be, if they are stealing something, if they are going so many miles over the speed limit, all of these are examples of criminal law, which means that the laws that govern you, that govern your jurisdiction, that govern your state, that if someone is criminally charged with the breaking the infraction of a law, they could face fines or they could face possibly some type of restriction on their liberty or their everyday responsibilities. So maybe if someone pleads guilty or is found guilty, if they're a particular age, they may have a curfew. If someone pleads guilty or is found guilty, when I say found guilty, I mean found guilty because they wanted to go to trial and either a judge decided that there was enough evidence to find them guilty, or if they went in front of a jury of 12 people, usually they're 12, and those 12 people decide unanimously that this person is guilty. If those things occur criminally, that means you could pay a fine if that's appropriate. You have some type of consequence, some type of action that you have to complete, like community service or the cleaning of the neighborhood, getting what are called drug screens, engaging in mental health services, any of those things, that is criminal. Okay, that falls in the group of criminal, I should say. And usually criminal law involves, in terms of everyday people, it involves a suspect, possibly a witness, someone who is a victim or a complainant, someone who is saying, this was done to me, and as a result, I have been harmed or I have been injured. And then in those cases where you may not have an actual person who is a victim or complainant, sometimes it could be the state, it can be the village in which you are live or which the offense occurs, because they're saying maybe something has happened that has affected the peace and the calm and the harmony of that particular jurisdiction. But whatsoever it is, criminal law involves some type of restriction on your liberty or your right to move about freely, without restriction, without any type of consequence. Okay. And criminal law usually involves those type of things where if you plead guilty or you are found guilty, you could be sentenced to jail. You could be sentenced to prison. Jail is usually for less offenses, less serious offenses like misdemeanors, and prison is usually for more serious offenses for felonies. It is not always that way, but that is the example that I'm offering. So that's the first big area of law, is criminal law, involving the right of someone and the right to get maybe justice for them, to provide a restriction of any kind for someone who has broken the law. They have committed a crime. That is the first big area. The second big area is civil law. Civil law is generally everything else. Okay. Civil law usually is the second group or category that affects everything else. All right. So some examples are, if you hire a contractor and that contractor does not engage in the type of work that you paid for, if you were trying to get some type of outcome, you could sue the contractor, meaning you could file a complaint, a civil complaint. Well, this time you're not looking for the contractor to be incarcerated. You are looking to be reimbursed. You are looking to be paid some type of money. You are looking for some type of resolution because it's civil in nature, meaning that it's not a type of alleged consequence that could result in incarceration. It is a type of consequence where there could be an exchange of money, meaning someone can either be reimbursed. Someone could receive money because the person they're suing has engaged in some really bad behavior, and you're trying to get money to punish them if you will, financially. Or there may be a situation when you are trying to say, I want to sue this person. I want to have it known to other people who are going to try what this person did, that they not do that. Now, most civil trials and cases do not occur because they go through what is called settlements. So if you were involved in the Snapchat settlement, Google settlement, where they send you these letters and they say, there has been a lawsuit that has been brought, there's a possibility you could have been affected. And so if you fill out this document, then it's a possibility you can get a fraction of what this huge settlement is. That is civil law. Okay. Other examples that fall under civil law is if you were trying to get a power of attorney, meaning that in the event that something should happen to you, you want someone to operate as you. Or if you are traveling and you want someone to operate as you for whatever the duration of time is, they have the ability to withdraw money from your bank account. They have the ability to speak with doctors on your behalf if you get sick or if you are impaired. That falls under civil law, the second huge category. Other areas of civil law is if you're trying to get wills, if you're trying to get a trust. If you want to, like I said earlier, if you want to bring civil allegations against someone because they're not doing what you contracted them to do, all of these are area of civil law. Okay, so if you are listening, I want you to type in the comments because remember I tell you, I'm a professor in your pocket. What are the two main groups that I just talked about? Okay. If you're listening, what are the two main groups that I talked about? I said there are two big groups of law, and they both start with C. One has to do with possible incarceration or a physical consequence where your liberty is being restrained. And then the second big group is where you're not dealing with the incarceration or the criminal punishment of someone. You are dealing with financial consequences in some areas, and then in other areas you're dealing with trying to be proactive in taking care of yourself or someone else. Okay, now what I have usually told my students is it's easier, or I should say less difficult, to decide which is which. Okay, so criminal is a little bit more easy to ascertain because you usually involves the police or some type of law enforcement. Civil is everything else. Okay, criminal and civil. Now, the last thing that I want to say before I hop off is that there are some times in where you think you may need an attorney and you actually do not. You may think you have a legal issue and you actually do not. Now, how you can tell, sometimes it's just by asking people by talking to an attorney, going to different continuing legal educational classes, doing some research online, not a whole bunch of research, because sometimes it has been my experience where you think it's one thing, and then by the time you're doing research, now you're worried because you're like, okay, well, I thought it was this, but it's actually something else. So just do, general research. You don't have to worry yourselves none about that. But you can talk to attorneys. You can go to continuing legal education classes. You know what else you can do? You can stay here on Legalese, please, and get the information. You can also email me. At legaleseplease@gmail.com. That is LEGALEAZ as in zebra, E, and then please. That's one thing altogether. Legaleseplease@gmail.com. If you have questions, you can ask me, and I will do my best to either, I'm going to answer all of them, but I will, if I can't do it, or if it's something that you need to be redirected or referred to someone, I will be happy to be a resource, not the only resource, but a resource for you. But that is the thing that I wanted to share with you, is that there are two main categories of laws. You have criminal law, which is a restriction, possible restriction on your ability to move, your liberty, your freedom, and then civil law is everything else. Okay, so I hope this helps. Don't worry, I will do this as an official legalese, please, continuing education class for the community, because that is what I do. I had been on sabbatical and now I'm back. So be prepared to be sick of me. All right, be prepared to be sick of me, but in a good way, because I know that knowledge is knowledge can be power. But if you cannot access knowledge, if you cannot get the type of knowledge that you can make relevant for your situation, then it is equivalent or akin to you having a winning lottery ticket where you can be a billionaire, but you don't know where to go to claim your prize. Okay, just know you can claim your prize of information legally. You can do it here. All right, you all have a wonderful and magnificent week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.